Is Michael on? Is he on?
Here.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Oh my gosh! Finally.
I know. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate this, and you have done so much. You actually became the guy to play alongside Lou Gramm.
I know, it's pretty incredible. I mean, what can you say about the man? I mean, arguably the best voice of his generation. Super nice guy. I can't say enough great things about Lou that already hasn't been said. And he's just a great guy. He's an amazing vocalist. What a catalog.
What a catalog is right. And I love how you call yourself guitarist of an icon. And right, I mean, that's really, it's just kind of incredible. So, Michael, tell us the story of how you actually connected with Lou, and had you been listening to his music before you met him, before you worked with him? Tell us all about it.
Absolutely. I mean, we are from the same town. We grew up in the same town, both from Rochester, New York, and coincidentally, both from Gates, New York, which is a town on the east side of Rochester. He went to school there. He grew up there. I grew up there as well. Of course, everybody knew who he was because of his fortunate success. Mm-hmm. And how did I become his guitar player? Well, he called me to fill in for some dates for the guitar player he had prior to me, and it was supposed to be a temporary basis, and it turned out to be a very long temporary basis.
Absolutely.
It was good. It was a great run. I had a blast. I mean, so I could probably write a book, stories and experiences, second to none.
But tell us about that first show that you played alongside Mr. Lou Gramm.
The very first show?
Yeah. Where was it?
It was actually at a place called the City Winery in Manhattan, I believe. It was in Manhattan, New York City. And it was a little club, very intimate. I was nervous. I knew I could do it. I was nervous for the experience. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I knew that, the listener would be critical because the songs are so iconic and identifiable. Everybody knows them. Everybody knows the parts. Everyone knows the lyrics, the vocals, the hooks, the melodies, and it has to be done right. And my job was very, very, very important to do that. And unfortunately, I think having been around as long as I was around with him, I think I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's very complimentary of you. All I've read is wonderful things that he has said about you. Now, how long did you rehearse with Lou before you got on that stage with him?
That's a good question. Probably a couple weeks. It was a couple weeks worth of rehearsals. Not necessarily with him, with the band. But it was pretty easy with the band because I knew most of the guys, and we all played together in different configurations and what have you, and we all had played together prior to that, so it was pretty easy. It was just a matter of me learning the arrangements the way the band did them, and then it was off and running. It was great.
So what did you do before you were performing with Lou?
Well, I played in local cover bands. I played in local tribute bands. Anything I could do to keep the guitar in my hands. I played on different artists' recordings. One of them. One notable artist, Phil Narrow, who is a gentleman who's from Rochester as well, but relocated to Toronto. You probably know him from Talus. He was in the Billy Sheehan group Talus.
Oh, wow.
And, he did several records on his own, and I was lucky enough to play on a couple of his records. And, kicked around the local scene and, did as much as I could. I did a lot of jingles, a lot of advertising, corporate jingles,
really?
Radio spots, for like baseball, commercials for like baseball teams and GMC and different power tools, so whatever they needed. I worked at a studio and not only was I an engineer there, I also played guitar on jingles and commercials and stuff like that. Really cool.
Did you sing a jingle ever?
I've never sang a jingle. I've sang as a group. In a chorus or a chant, but never sang one solo. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah, we do. Actually, I would love to hear one.
Well, I can't think of one right now. That probably I don't know. Probably one for our baseball team. It was Take Me Out. But I'm not going to bore you with that. I got a question for you though.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No, of course
so
not.
I'm like super jealous because I watched your unboxing video.
Oh my gosh.
Of your Neil Schon guitar.
I can't.
You realize that you and I we're kindred, right? Because of our Journey connection. Your love for Journey is you're probably the only other person I've ever seen as passionate about Steve Perry and Neil Schon and the band Journey as I am.
Well, I was definitely going to ask you about, so what is it about Neil? Like Lou Gramm, you always have the most wonderful things, of course, to say about Lou. You truly have a passion, for what you've done with him, but also for Neil as well. And so tell us about that connection you have with him.
Well, I grew up listening to Santana before I even knew I was listening to Lou.
Wow. Neil, yeah.
And, I just fell in love with Journey at an early age, and something about Steve Perry's voice and Neil's guitar playing really resonated with me, and I was a humongous Journey fan. But to watch you unbox that guitar, those are very rare instruments, and wow, that was really cool. I'm jealous and envious. I think that's awesome that you have one of his guitars.
Well, my reaction was real. I have to tell you, I had no idea that this wonderful subscriber, Bill, I said his name many, many times. He said, I'm sending you something, and it has something to do with Journey. And I'm like, oh my God, what could it be? Could it be an album or, whatever? But what I got, I had, I just can't believe I own it. And again, I really want to know where Neil played it. I want to know, did he play it when he was in Bad English? Because It was 89. Did he play it while he was on stage at some point with Journey? I would love to know the history from when he played it.
Yeah. That was probably a Raised on Radio era, Bad English era guitar. I think maybe, I don't know if that would be a hardline guitar. But
to wonder and figure out where that guitar was played.
You'll have to ask him.
I would love to. He doesn't answer too many people, so it's kind of a tough guy to get in touch with.
Yeah, and then there's your Steve Perry connection, your passion for Steve Perry.
God, help me, Jesus.
That's the voice right there.
He is the voice, and like I say all the time, a lot of people really have varying opinions on different members of the band, of course. Mm-hmm. But we cannot, as a group of classic rock lovers, we all cannot deny what Journey has given to every single one of us. And you are, look at you. You have built your life around guitar playing, and as you said, you grew up listening to Journey. Mm-hmm. So now, have you really, your entire career, has it been specifically playing the guitar, and this is how you've built your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done various other things from time to time to stay afloat, but guitar has always been kind of like my focus, and it's a passion, and I do it for the love of the instrument and the love of making music, and being lucky enough to play with an artist such as Lou Gramm and his iconic catalog. Having a front row seat of the people that love Foreigner music and being able to deliver that with the iconic voice that is Lou Gramm, and seeing how that takes people on a journey and helps people escape, and just to see how they hang on every word that he sings, it's incredible. I can only imagine, what it would have been like to be, the original Foreigner band, delivering these in their heyday when they were in their prime, when these albums were coming out, when vinyl was huge and they were filling stadiums, and it's a pretty incredible experience.
Did you ever talk to Lou about that?
About his tons of stories. I spent a lot of time, traveling, and he would tell us tons of stories, and those are always the things that were very intriguing to me, asking him questions about being in the studio, recording the first record, the second record. And actually, one of my favorite stories of talking to Lou about that era was, which incorporates Steve Perry and Dennis DeYoung and everybody that was singing in the Stratosphere, the singer for Boston. And I asked him, I said, man, when you were recording those first few records and you were like laying it down, not even probably realizing that you were setting the bar for what was to come with singers that followed you in other bands and subsequently, somebody that replaced him in Foreigner. Did you ever think that, at this point in your life, in your golden years, when you're looking at the sunset of your career, that you would have to like sing those songs the way you recorded them, back in the day? And he's like, he goes, he didn't even think, he told me, and I didn't think that we were going to make 2 records, let alone 3, let alone have the body of catalog that we did. And that's incredible to me. And I mean, they were on fire, hit after hit after hit, record after record. And they could do no wrong. I mean, it was, who doesn't know all those iconic songs? And in fact, we would discuss set lists and what songs to play and what songs not to play. And then we would play with other bands who would look at our set list and they'd go, oh, what a set list you guys have. It's like cheating, It's like,
I know, right?
So many great songs. It's like, how lucky could you be to participate in that situation for the guys that were backing him up? I mean, it was an incredible experience.
So before you were alongside Lou, of course you must have, you listened to Foreigner's music, but it had to be kind of an out-of-body experience when you were actually playing alongside Lou Gramm.
Yeah, I think the first couple times, the first few shows, just pinching myself, looking over to my left, I stood to his right, and as you face out from the stage to the audience, and just looking over and hearing him sing these melodies. We were in-ear monitors, and I have him pretty dominant in my in-ear mix, and just listening to him, and then looking over to my left and just saying, I can't believe I'm on stage playing these songs. It's pretty incredible. It's a great experience. Very fortunate. It's something that I don't take for granted. I didn't take for granted, and I cherished every gig, every show, every opportunity to deliver that catalog was quite the honor.
And you really do have to say that, well, for me, looking in, okay, you do appreciate what you do and what you have done. You're always so appreciative, and
absolutely,
I love your positivity. You're always putting out a positive quote or something, and every time I see, like, it's so funny. If I'm having kind of a crummy day, and then you just go into Instagram for a second, and there you are with one of your positive quotes. I'm like, you know what? Thank you. I needed that today. And you always do that. You always do that.
And so nice to hear you say that.
Well, but it's true, because you are always, you seem like just a happy guy who's just really grateful to have done what you have done and what you continue to do.
I'm full of gratitude and humility, and I am blushing right now that you're saying that. I really appreciate that, and it's nice to hear that, because sometimes that can be misconstrued, and people might think that we take our positions for granted, and
not at all.
We deserve or we're entitled, and that's not the case at all. I mean, I get up every day. I try to have a positive attitude. I try to lift the people around me, and I try to be lifted by the people that I surround myself with. And, that's what it's all about. And if I could put a smile on someone's face, whether it be with some words that I post on social media or some music that I've played, they've come to a show, then I've done my job. That's what we're here for.
Yep, and we appreciate it. So definitely know that it's being watched and noticed for sure.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Now, the retirement of Lou.
Yes.
He did release, I think, a day or two before. People knew that Lou was retiring, but that night of December 29th at the Proctor's Theater in Schenectady, again, Lou had already kind of alluded to the fact, I'm done touring full time. How was that night for you, knowing that, okay, you know what, this is coming to an end? What was that like for you?
It was bittersweet. I think that we all kind of knew it was coming anyways. I mean, literally when I joined the band, there was rumors of this was the last year, and then an itinerary would show up in January, and we'd have some more shows, and really not knowing what it was and not taking it for granted. At the end of the night there in Schenectady, I mean, we weren't really sure how it was going to end. And then when Lou did his speech, I mean, I think we were all emotional. He said he spoke from his heart, and we all respected his feelings and his wishes, and the guy, he's got really nothing left to prove. I mean, he's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it. He's seen it. He's been there. And you know what? If he wants to ride out into the sunset, driving his muscle cars, and join his family, God bless him.
Yeah.
God bless him. He deserves it. He doesn't need to go out and do this. I mean, really, what's left to prove? I mean, I think the only thing left in his career that would be the icing on the cake is the damn Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I wish they'd get off their butts and get those guys in there.
I can't.
Because that's long overdue. What are they waiting for?
I don't know.
What are they waiting for? But you know what? He's in our Hall of Fame, so that's all that matters.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But I have to go back to something. Did you guys not know that night that he was announcing his retirement? Was that a surprise?
We weren't sure how he was going to do it. We didn't know if it was going to be, we didn't have any prior advance notice that he was going to make a speech at the end of the night. We didn't know that. We didn't know how he was going to do it. And let's face it, he's the boss. I mean, it's his terms. I mean,
he runs the company.
Whatever he wants to do. I mean, if he needed us for more shows, we were there for him. If he didn't need us anymore, we respected that as well. I mean, it's his call. His call. We supported him. I supported him, and I continue to support him. I mean, like I told him, I think we all drove back home the next day, and we parted ways after our vehicle got back to Rochester, and I said, hey, if you ever need me, call me. I'm glad to help you.
Yeah,
more than glad. I mean, if he calls me, I'd be there for him in a heartbeat for anything, even if it was for a cup of coffee.
Yeah. How nice is it that you have that relationship with Lou Gramm?
It's amazing.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's Lou Gramm, and then there's Lou Gramm. I mean, Lou Gramm, the entertainer, is amazing, but Lou Gramm, the human being, the person, not a lot of people have the opportunity to get to know him, and he's a great guy.
He's a nice human being.
You've experienced it. I mean, he's real.
There's
no pretense.
No.
There's no rock star persona. There's no attitude. He's just a great guy. Family man. Loves his family. Loves his kids. Loves his cars, and he's a legend. What can you say?
And by the way, Bob Galino would like to know what type of hair products you're using these days.
Tell him that since he's leading the mullet crusade for the comeback of the mullet, whatever he's using was Aquavelva or High Karate.
Aquavelva. Oh my dad used to use that. That's crazy.
I've known Bob since we were kids.
Come on.
We grew up in the same neighborhood.
Oh, that's so funny.
Literally neighbors, and I've known Bob forever. And I tell you, if there's ever a right-hand man, I mean, he's Lou's right-hand man.
Oh,
he was our right-hand man. He was our go-to guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Bob wouldn't do that if you needed something, man, he'd get it done. He was the guy.
That's just awesome. You guys all have that connection.
But and he's got a great mullet too. Come on, man.
I'm not saying that to Bob. But you already did. It's all good.
It's the mullet. He's leading it. He's leading the mullet crusade.
It's so funny.
He's the best.
He is. Now, but you go from playing alongside Lou Gramm to now you said these words, the fill-in guy. You were the fill-in guy for Slaughter.
Yeah.
So two totally different ends of the spectrum here.
I know, right?
How did that happen?
Okay, so after we got done, I was going to take some time off and become a full-time dad, a full-time husband, a full-time Uber driver for the kids, to baseball and cheerleading and school, and just to try to take some time to figure out, what I wanted to do next. I mean, how do you follow up, such a legendary, incredible gig like, playing with Lou Gramm?
Right.
So, I mean, I felt like I really need to be calculated and really be careful about what I do and what was to come. And, I get a call from a friend of mine that lives in Cleveland, and he's a guitar player. He played with Warrant. His name's Billy Morris. And he said to me, what are you doing right now? And I said, like, right now? And he was like, yeah, right now. I go, well, I just got done cutting the grass. He goes, no, playing-wise. And I said, well, I'm just kind of chilling, man. I'm not doing anything. He goes, I just got off the phone with Mark Slaughter, and I gave him your number. I told him, he's looking for a guitar player, and he asked Billy to do it. Billy wasn't available because he has a bunch of businesses now and a young family, and he said that I told Mark that you were the guy, and Mark called me later that day and invited me down to Nashville to rehearse, to do a handful of gigs, and the gigs were basically Slaughter shows, but I wasn't in Slaughter. It was because Slaughter and Vince Neil share a band, and there was some scheduling conflicts between both bands. And in order to fulfill the Slaughter gigs, they needed to bring some people in. So Mark brought in Blas, the original drummer, Blas Elias.
Yeah.
He invited one of his friends from Nashville who plays bass named Jamie Millard, and he invited me to join the fold and for these temporary shows. And he flew me down to Nashville. We rehearsed for about 4 hours, and then we flew out the next day to West Virginia to do our first show.
Come on,
and
you had a 4-hour rehearsal?
Well, I mean, I had about 21 days since our conversation to those rehearsals, and I had to learn the set. But I was a big fan of the band anyways. I mean, so I was very familiar with the music. I played a couple of the songs in cover bands, but I'd never played, the entire set or a majority of their catalog.
Right.
And, I mean, how about that, going from the Platinum Foreigner catalog to the Platinum Slaughter catalog?
I want to know what love is to Up All Night. I mean, it's just...
Flag of the Angels, right?
Yeah, right? I mean, it's kind of a incredible, crazy, not really a melding thing, but you fell into it, and you did a great job with it.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I had a blast. I mean, Mark is a super awesome guy.
He seems like it. Yeah, he really seems like a really nice guy.
Blas is amazing. Jamie was great. And we did some really, really cool shows with Great White and Kicks. And there's another band, too. I can't remember. Maybe Queensryche. I can't remember who we played a bunch of co-headlining shows with. And it was great. It was great. It was, I mean, I loved it.
But tell us about Lou's crowds and Slaughter crowds. How different of a balance was there?
Well, there's a little bit of an age difference. But Slaughter's more of a party band. They attract more like the biker crowd, the rowdy party crowd. It's both. I mean, they're great. Everybody's great. Everyone loves the music, and I had a lot of fun playing those songs, and playing Flight of the Angels and Up All Night gave me just as much of a charge as playing Fizzle the First Time, or I Want to Know What Love Is, or Urgent for that matter. I mean.
Great songs, though. I mean, really.
I mean, you could turn on XM, the Hair Nation, and anytime and hear Slaughter.
It's true.
It's great. I mean, great stuff.
So, Michael, tell us about the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Now, I mean, again, another honor to be a counselor. I mean, and also you were there alongside John Five, Tommy Aldridge, Tommy Thayer, Rudy Sarzo, and Paul Stanley. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was incredible. I mean, it's just more pinch me moments. It's just like people that you grew up, idolizing, people you had posters on your wall. It's surreal. It's a pretty incredible experience, Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp altogether. I mean, if you're one of the campers, if you've never been to a Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp and you don't know what it's about, go to the website, check it out. And it's kind of like what I tell people that live in the States. If you ever been to Hawaii, Hawaii is expensive to travel to, but you will not experience anything like that anyplace else but Hawaii.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp is the same thing. It's an experience that you'll get that for the price they charge the value is far greater than what they charge. I mean, what you get out of it is incredible. And I mean, I'm honored to be a counselor. I was a music director for the Paul Stanley Camp.
Wow.
In Vegas, and it's a great experience. The other counselors are incredible. Vinny Appice, Rudy Zarzo, Tony Franklin, Jason Epps. The list goes on and on and on. It's great. It's great. Very fortunate.
We have a question from Mark in Baltimore. He wants to know, did you ever have the opportunity to play the legendary Hammerjacks back in the day? Oh,
yeah. I played Hammerjacks when I was, believe it or not, I was in an Alice Cooper tribute band.
No.
But, yes, I played Hammerjacks. Yeah, absolutely.
So now, with the current situation we're all in, the whole world, do you find this to be a creative time for you because we have to be self-contained, or is it a little bit different? Is it maybe harder to be creative in a time like this?
No, I think it lends very well to a creative time. In fact, I've been utilizing a lot of my downtime in my studio. I've been working on an instrumental record for the last couple of years, and this has been able to focused me to revisit some of that and able to collaborate a lot easier, because a lot of the people that I'm collaborating with are all stationary. Is that the right word? Stationary as well. We're all stuck and we can't travel. So it's a really, really good opportunity to send files back and forth, Dropbox it, and play on each other's music. And I've been able to tap into some incredible talent to help me out as well. So
that's awesome, because, Al and I were talking about that. I said, I wonder if it is a good creative time, maybe in one respect, yes, absolutely, like you just said, but then maybe in another way too. I was thinking maybe people are just too sad to be creative. Just don't. I guess it depends on everyone. Everyone's so different.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting time. I don't think that I ever expected to experience something like this in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. I pretty much think I could speak for everybody else that's listening. I'm sure that a lot of great songs are going to be written during this time to reflect. I mean, art reflects life. Life reflects art.
Right.
And, no different than when Kent State was under attack, and was it Neil Young that sang, For Dead in Ohio? He was singing about what was going on, like they were singing about the Vietnam War, and when that was going on. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool things that come out of this. I think that we're probably going to approach things a little bit different going forward. I know that VIP meet and greets are going to be a little bit different.
Yes, I've already had conversations with people about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even non-existent. I mean, I would hate to see that, because I mean, I enjoy those, but you have to be very, very conscious of that aspect of it. Touring is going to be a little different. I mean, there's going to be a lot more constraints probably with everything trying to ramp back up. I'm just wondering how, when everything opens back up, how the concert season and how that's going to stack up, and how they're going to reschedule all these things, and I think it's going to be a nightmare at first, but I think as a nation we're resilient, and I think the entertainment industry is going to rejoice when we get back out there. I think everyone's going to have a really heavy case of cabin fever and want to really get out and go to restaurants and go to concerts and enjoy live music and be around people at least 6 feet away from everybody.
Yeah, right. I know. You have to stand an arm length, from the person next to you at a show. I can't even imagine, but I know I'm itching. I can't. I cannot wait. But it will be very interesting to see how this whole concert and live music arena is going to change.
Yeah, especially with all the tour. I mean, this year was setting up to be such a huge touring season. I mean,
crazy,
and it just came to a screaming halt. And wow, I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's kind of unfathomable. But I have faith in humanity. I have faith as us as a nation.
Yes,
we're Americans. We persevere. We overcome everything.
That's
and
right.
We win.
Yeah, we do. We do, and we will overcome. So what is next for you? What is next on your list of things to do?
Man, I'm going to finish recording, and I'm going to see what's out there and pick and choose carefully. And, I have a lot of things that I still want to accomplish in my career. I'm not that old. I have a bucket list of things and people I want to meet and things I want to do. I would love to meet Steve Perry someday. I'd love to be his guitar player.
Matt, what would that phone call be like? I would want to videotape that. Well, video.
I probably would start planning my retirement after that, because I think after that, playing with Lou and then playing with Steve Perry, two of my favorite singers.
I know. Where do you go? Where do you go?
Two of my top three, exactly. Two of my top three, and then just sail with the sunset. What's left to do? So
right. Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, and I really hope that someday you get to play for Steve Perry. I really do.
Well, Steve's listening. If you're listening, Steve.
I would drop to the floor. I'm just saying. But anyway, so Michael, we totally appreciate you joining us. We're going to be watching to see what is next for you. And everyone, Michael is all over social media on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. And again, we thank you, Michael.
I want to thank you for having me, and thank you for being so supportive. And it's finally great to speak to you in person.
Yes.
Kind of. And I can't wait to meet you someday. I mean, meet you in person. So I really appreciate you having me. I really appreciate your support, and I wish you all the best in the future.